Welcome, Jen and Jenna. I'm so excited to chat with you guys today. I saw you recently, but this is going to be such a valuable podcast because you guys have been with IHP for a while and you have so much valuable insight. You're kind of the first, on the first line to helping people make this career choice and decide if they're going to move forward with coaching, if they're going to advance their career, and you speak to people every day. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Jenna, if you want to start.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having us, Kate. Jennifer and I are both really excited to be here and to talk to the community. And hopefully you can get to know us a little bit better. And maybe, who knows, we'll have some phone calls with some people that are listening here. So, my story goes way back, and I'm going to just get a little bit vulnerable here right off the bat. I think it's important to do that. So, really, I was the child that was always resistant to medical procedures and doctors' offices. I was the kid that was screaming and crying and running away from when I had to get my shots, when I had to go to the doctor. I always had this innate aversion to medical procedures. And it's interesting to look back and see that now and how that's tied into what I'm doing with my purpose at this point in my life and how the dots sort of all connect. So when I was 9, I had 3 dental surgeries that didn't go as well as they should have been emotionally. So I really struggled emotionally as a young child going through those surgeries. And everything really came to a head when I was 16. So when I was 16, I was put on the birth control pill by my dermatologist for teenage acne, as happens so often, right? So many teenage girls are given this pill to quote unquote solve whatever they're struggling with. And shortly after I started, I was getting some pains in where my lungs are located. And I had a nurse friend say to me, "Oh, well, you just started the birth control pill. Like, you should really go to the ER and you should make sure that there's not like a blood clot in your lung. You should get this checked out." So I'd never been to the ER before at this point, didn't know what to expect. And I went there and I was subject to a million tests. You know how it goes in the ER with needles here and IVs here. And my nervous system was so overloaded. And I just remember being mocked by the people that were working at the hospital. I went to stand up out of the hospital bed, and I didn't faint, but I think that I was weak. I was very weak, and I sort of fell, and they mocked me for it. And that was very traumatic in the way that I was treated at that ER. And so what was an aversion to medical procedures turned into a full-blown phobia for me. And phobia to the point where I was literally terrified of anything medical related, even just talking about these topics or having someone else talk about their blood tests that they just got or the IV that they got. If someone would even talk about that to me, I would feel like I was going to faint or throw up or I had to run out of the room. And so this phobia went on for a few years until I ended up in therapy. And with therapy, I did EMDR, which for anyone who doesn't know who's listening, EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And it's really useful for phobias. And it involves the movement of the eyes to be able to light up the entire brain so that you can really process logically something that you're really afraid of. And so that was really helpful for me. And I started having these repressed memories come out from childhood of other experiences that I had in doctor's offices where I felt unheard, unseen, and just not treated right, or I didn't have a voice in the doctor's office. And these were not memories that I even consciously remembered. They came out of my subconscious when I was doing this work. And so the phobias that I had were not just from one or two experiences. It was actually like a number of childhood and teenage year experiences. And the biggest takeaway that I had from that therapy was that the phobia was stemming from a lack of control and a lack of having a voice about my own body. And I did a lot of work during that therapy. I would go into new doctors' offices and I would practice using my voice and speaking up. Like when something didn't feel right or I had questions and I needed an explanation before I just did what the doctor told me to do. And I really practiced using that voice. And I mean, I still have fears around medical things today, but it's gotten so much better. And really this ties into why I went with IHP and why IHP is so important to me. Because in my opinion, getting an education about your body is the most empowering thing that we can do. And, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't consult practitioners and experts. Of course, we should if they have more knowledge than we do, because we can't possibly know everything. But there is an innate intuition within all of us that we know what's going on inside of our body when something's not right. Let's put it that way. And IHP really helps find that voice and teaches us what's going on inside of our own body so that we don't have to depend on other people and we're not in the dark. And so that's really IHP for me, was an education so that I'm not subject to unnecessary surgeries, unnecessary procedures, unnecessary diagnoses in the future. It's about taking control now and preventing. And so that's something that really drew me to IHP.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's the perfect kind of lead in, because so many people come to you and they wonder, do I need to do this to actually become a health coach? Or can I just take this certification for myself and my family? And it sounds like that's why you took it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. It was definitely a personal empowerment thing for me to be able to help myself, help my family. I mean, there's many different reasons. We definitely in admissions talk to so many people that are making career transitions. So that's another extremely valid reason to do this. But it's also very valid for people that want to just understand themselves as well.
Yeah. And I think one of the core philosophies and missions of IHP is to have a health coach in every home, because that's what's really going to, make the biggest impact. It's like helping yourself, helping your family, and then it's going to spread to other people. And thank you again so much for sharing that. It's a powerful story. And I think so many of us can resonate and connect to that. So thank you. So Jen, do you want to tell us what brought you to IHP?
Yeah, absolutely. My story actually started about 16 years ago with my second born, where she was experiencing could say it was like a chemical reaction. And we learned about red 40 food dye. And, 16 years ago, we didn't have, the search engines we have now. So I was going off of parents, writing on blogs and sharing information. And that really was the first just kind of move into advocating for our health, reading labels, having an understanding, and also having to advocate for my children in Western medicine, because the pediatricians kind of looked at me like I had three heads when I said, this is what I know is going on, because we had cut it out and seen a drastic difference. And anyway, that started the journey. And then my own health just kind of took a turn several years ago. I actually decided to pursue health coaching and didn't even know it was a thing that existed, got really excited about that. But what I found in the program I did is it was really lacking in what I needed, which was getting to the root cause of health issues and really actually being able to dig deeper. So I was actually really excited. A friend who was in the coaching world with me had shared about Dr. Cabral and IHP, and I was sold immediately, because it really did align with the changes we had made in our home and the things that were true for us as a family and the way we look at our health that had stemmed all the way from 16 years ago to present time. And of course, that's exactly what I got from IHP, was being able to dig deeper, continuing that advocacy for myself, for my kids, to empower them in their own health. And which is why, even Jenna's story resonates with my mama heart so much. So I was able to help, my family at a deeper level, but then also as far as certifications, I felt like I had such a deeper understanding of what was really needed, just to help clients.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I connect with that so much myself because I also have been on a wellness journey pretty much my entire life. And IHP was the missing puzzle piece for me. It filled the gaps. And when I originally got certified, it was to help myself. I had crazy cystic acne. I was still struggling with a lot of things. And no matter how much I had researched and how much I had read, there was a big piece missing. And that's what brought me to it. And then I realized, wow, I was able to help myself very quickly and to, understand my root causes. And I was then drawn to help other people. So I didn't originally get certified knowing that I was going to be a coach, but it happened very quickly after, as I started to help friends and family, and they all started to have the same results. So I think that's kind of amazing that we all kind of started into it for ourselves and our family. And then it kind of, morphed into something else. And now we're all about sharing the mission and helping others understand just how powerful this program is to transform lives. And just like you mentioned, I'd love to hear from your perspective, what makes this program so different? Maybe Jenna, you want to dive into this one? What do you see as kind of the difference? Because I've also taken other certifications and this one really stands out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I could literally be here all day talking about all of the differences and what makes this program amazing, but I will try to narrow it down. So we'll start with three differences. So, I mean, the first one that comes to my mind is that, it's right in our title, integrative health. So we are truly integrative here in the sense that Dr. Cabral discovered in his studies and his experience that there's not just one school of thought that works for everyone. There's not just one form of medicine that is the silver bullet. And so there's ancient wisdom. So I love Ayurveda. I basically grew up in a yoga studio. I started doing yoga when I was 15, and I was in that studio probably 5 times a week. And when I was in that studio, we were learning about Ayurveda the entire time. And so I love hearing about the ancient wisdom of the oldest form of medicine in the world. And so IHP brings in Ayurveda, which really stems from Dr. Cabral's travels to India and to Sri Lanka, where he learned directly from the source about how to practice Ayurvedic medicine. And then there's also Chinese medicine and herbalism, which is brought in. So you have the Eastern philosophies, and then it's merged with more of the more modern, cutting edge approaches of functional medicine lab testing. So we're still bringing in the good science and the data of being able to show people what their true root causes are from a data perspective. So I just love that that's so integrated together, and that's very different than a lot of other programs that are out there. So that's number one. I would say number two is that this program is not just theory. It's not just principles about health. It's actual protocols and plans of step by step by step. How do I help myself and my clients get to where they'd like to be? And that's feedback that I hear on my admissions calls very frequently is, oh, maybe I took another health coaching certification and it was great and it was an amazing foundation, but I don't know how to apply it. I don't know how to put together a plan or a protocol for someone. And so what I love about this program is that Dr. Cabral is literally an open book. And he's like, listen, this is my practice. This is how I've gotten thousands of clients well over the years. And so he's sharing with us the exact protocols that he uses in his practice for us to be able to use if we choose. And so people who graduate from IHP are ready very quickly after graduation to go on and help themselves and others. There's not this limbo period where they're like, ooh, now I got to put together documents and I got to put together my resources. It's really done for you so that it encourages the person to start helping people right away. Because as we all know, that's what's needed. And that's the mission behind IHP, is to get this information about natural and holistic health to as many people far and wide and as quickly as we can, because there's a lot of people suffering. Now, I would say that the third reason that I'll outline here has to do with community. So I feel very strongly that this is not just a course that someone takes and then they graduate and we never see them again. Not at all. This is a lifetime of community and support. I mean, we have people that were in the very first class of IHP in 2018 that to this day are still attending every Zoom call, every live event. They're posting in the Facebook group all day long, and they graduated 5 years ago. So the support that's given and the community that's given in bringing everyone together, again, is lifetime access. It's not just while you're a student. And I mean, the three of us on this call, we were all at the live event recently. And Kate, I know you and I were both at the one before that. And these live events are just amazing to be able to connect. I mean, you walk in the room and you recognize all these faces and you just like want to give everyone a hug. And it just shows how much of a big family we are here at IHP. So I think that's something that really stands out to me. And I'll never forget this. You might remember this, Kate, in the event, not the most recent, but the one before, something that Dr. Cabral said, I'm going to paraphrase here, but he said something like, all of us in this room, when we're out there in the real world, we are the weird ones. We're the ones that people look at funny. But in this room, we're all the same. And I think that everyone that was at that event, like, really will remember that, because to be surrounded by people that are like-minded, that understand you, and that you don't have to change yourself for, is so important in how isolating it can be. I mean, the last thing that I'll say here, I'm sure both of you can resonate with this and people listening can resonate with this. Have you ever met someone and they ask you what you do for work or what you're passionate about, and you say like holistic natural health, and you get that blank stare, and then they change the subject very quickly. Like, that happens all the time. Is that resonating?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's nice to have a community of people where you don't get that blank stare.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And I got chills when you were talking about it, because to me, I love all the education and the roadmaps, and it is truly exceptional. But the community is what has blown me away since I became certified and since I joined, because the Facebook group is so active and everyone has become friends. We all are connecting on a daily basis. I've made some of my best friends from the IHP Facebook groups. There's nonstop live calls where you can ask questions. The community and the IHP team are so dedicated to helping people succeed and understand the different tests. And literally, there's just so much incredible support and engagement. And so for me, that's one of the things that makes it so different, is literally, you don't just take this course and we, kick you out. It's a lifetime of support. And it's only getting more supportive. Every month, we're adding more layers of things to make and support IHPs and helping more people and being able to transform more lives. And I do remember him saying that at the last event. And again, I'm like, it just kind of gives me the chills, because that's exactly what it is, at this last event, I made a new best friend. And it's just, you finally feel like you're around your people and the people who have the same mission as you to change lives and to truly help. And having people to bounce ideas off of is just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, Jen, do you have anything you'd like to add about kind of what stands out to you about these programs?
Yeah, I think Jenna really hit the nail on the head with the community. I always say the course is so strong on its own, but everything else that's part of IHP, the culture here, the community aspect, I always tell people I use the Facebook group as a search engine. I mean, I'll go in there, I'll search on a topic. We were looking up eczema for one of my daughters, and already there's such rich information being shared in there. So I definitely would just reiterate like how strong of a community that I tell people all the time, you're going to find your people. You think you're on an island until you come into this community and you're like, oh my goodness, these are my people. So yeah, I just would reiterate that. And I'm also so grateful, that Dr. Cabral gives so much of his time every week, every month, he's always, whether it's his podcast, he's going live, he's sharing resources and information, even just himself on social media. Like there's so much to benefit from in so many different ways and areas within IHP's communities. So grateful for that. And I really think that's what people find is once they're in, they're like, this is home.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, I was surprised how often we got to see Dr. Cabral and how much he was, like you said, giving his time and his expertise and always learning and always advancing. And that brings me to kind of, again, another layer of support is you guys talk to people every day. You talk to people who are just considering moving into health coaching, but you also talk to IHPs every day to help them decide kind of what's their next step. And one of the things that I love is that, you know, we have additional programs that are specialized in either, you know, helping you become a more successful health coach or helping you build your business or, you know, taking the advanced new program on optimizing and high performance health. And I think one of the top questions you guys get from IHPs is like, what should I do next? How do you help guide people on which program to move through next? Jen, do you want to dive into that one?
I can definitely dive into that one because we get that question, I mean, all the time, right? And I think one of the things we like to give you some place to get curious is what are your goals for yourself personally? And then if you are doing this as a career, what are the career goals that you have? Even envisioning who do you want to help? How do you want to help them? And how do you want to go further with that? You know, there's some people I talk to and they really do want to dig deeper on the psychology of habit change and really looking deeper at the thought process, different modalities of coaching. So mastery ends up being like the most logical next step for them. I've definitely talked to those who've done level 1 and they're like, okay, this is so amazing. And how many people they've already helped, but they're like, I want to go deeper. I want to have data. I love that Dr. Cabral is always talking about data and the value of that. So they really just naturally flow right into doing level 2. And again, when their goals are to empower their clients, give them more, it just flows that way. And then I would even say for anyone who wants to work with a wide population of people, that's really where HPH has filled in such a beautiful gap where, you know, people who are feeling well and want to feel better, want to optimize their health, you know, and utilizing such cutting edge technology, such new resources, like it's mind blowing. HPH has been absolutely mind blowing. And then I would say, and Kate, you can probably speak to this really well, where those who are like, my business is going well, but I also want to amplify that, you know, business, you know, mentorship really becomes the thing they want to do. So you might even be able to expand on that.
Yeah, and that was something a lot of people asked me at the last event is, okay, I'm at this point in my business. Is it right to go through the business mentorship experience? Should I focus on building my skills there? And I always tell people, you know, again, just like you said, it's where are you at right now? What do you need to build confidence in? If you just got your level 1 certification, you know, do you need to learn the skills to become an entrepreneur? Because so many people are transitioning from other careers where they've maybe worked in a corporate setting and they don't know how to set up a website or how to, you know, get people to schedule calls or get on, you know, post on social media. And so when they're in that situation, if they don't have the skills or the confidence to do some of the basics that are needed to promote their business, maybe the business course is the first place to go, because then once you build those skills, and I call it filling skill gaps, you're going to have so much more confidence to take on clients. And then maybe the next step after that, once you've got your first 10, 15 clients and you've got some practice, then you can go into mastering being a health coach. It's really, if some people you know, that I've talked to have been very anxious about taking on clients because maybe they feel like they don't have enough skills or, you know, they're just not confident. And so that's really what we try and help people determine is where the confidence is lacking, whether it is in your coaching. And if that's the case, then mastery is probably a really good idea. So again, it really just depends where they're at. If they have skill, you know, entrepreneurial skills from their last job, if they already have a huge amount of clients that they're working with or friends that they can start moving forward with, like what is that next step? So Yeah, but I think I love that you guys are there to help them make that decision and get the clarity, because so many times in starting a new business or starting with health coaching, it's about clarity. It is about, who do you want to help? How do you want to help them? Do you want to be able to offer testing? Because if you're offering testing, it's great when you have the data in front of you and you can say, you've got high candida, you've got, cortisol that's through the roof. This is the first place to start. Data is a really great entry point. And so again, level 2 might be the best bet for them. So no, I love that. Jenna, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, one thing that I just want to add is how exciting it is to me, and hopefully other people, that the learning really never stops. Like when you come into IHP, again, it comes back to this idea of, it's not just a course and then we never hear from you again. It is a lifelong learning journey. And over the last 5 years since this institute's been around, we've only added new additional certifications and learning opportunities. And then you pair that with Dr. Cabral's daily podcast and his book and the Facebook groups to learn from other people. The learning is just endless. And I think that when you are passionate about these topics, you do understand that the learning should never stop, because research is always changing. Science is always changing. The human body is so intricate and interesting and amazing that there's always new things to learn. So again, you might have the intention of, oh, well, I'll take level 1 and level 2 for now, but you just wait. I mean, we have all these people that, found out about high performance health, and all these IHPs rushed to join in on that, because it's just a new set of information, and that's going to keep coming. Like, this will not stop. If we had this conversation in another 5 years from now, I'm sure we would have many brand new things to add. So that's something that's just really exciting from my perspective.
I love that. And I think that's both on the health and the business side, because when you're on this journey and you're constantly learning on the health side, I also recommend constantly learning on the business side as well, and constantly adding to your skills, because the more successful and the more confidence you have on the business side, the more people you're going to help and be able to reach. And that's really the goal here, is to be able to transform lives and to be able to have a kind of a compounding effect where you help one person who then tells 10 of their friends, and then those 10 friends, they start to improve their lives and they come back to you to work with you for health coaching. So I love that. And that's one of it, kind of puts me into another topic here, is like, you guys talk to a lot of people who are transitioning from other careers, whether it's a nurse or a beautician or a personal trainer. Do you have any advice for them, or any kind of things they ask you often that you want to touch on? And let's see, Jenna.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, we talk to a lot of people that are either making full career transitions, or they want to add to their existing practice. And both are valid and amazing. So we have people that are like, I work in finance right now and I hate my job and I need to pursue my passion and get me out of here immediately. And they're making a full transition into the health and wellness space. And then we have people that are personal trainers or yoga instructors or acupuncturists or massage therapists, and they have some sort of client base already that they're working with, either in person or online, but they feel that they've hit a ceiling in how they can help people. If you're a personal trainer, they know that there's more to health than just exercise. And so they say, how can I help someone understand why they're going through the chronic symptoms that they are, that the exercise alone is not solving for? We also have estheticians that are seeing skin issues on a regular basis that are saying to themselves, there has to be a reason why this person is struggling with this acne, this eczema, this rosacea, that my topical treatments alone are not solving. We have to look internally. So these are just a combination of reasons why people are either making full transitions or they're adding to their existing practice. And then also just going back to the idea of, some people have a sick family member and they have a parent, they have a child, they have a sibling. It's themselves that they're really struggling to get well. And so that's, I would say, another very strong reason why people choose to do IHP.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, there's so many different reasons and people who come this way. It is maybe just a part-time. They want to, do a couple hours a week of coaching. Maybe they want to educate online. So they want to be posting content about health and spreading content through social media. Or maybe they're, like you said, a personal trainer who wants to bring in a differentiating component to their business. I talked to someone recently who's a personal trainer, and he started sending emails about wellness. And he got so many responses from people that were like, what an incredible educational thing. What a great way to differentiate yourself from your competition. It was the most incredible response. And so you have all these different types of people who are coming to IHP. And are there any types of prerequisites, or can kind of anyone dive in?
Yeah, I mean, it really is for anyone because it can be so personalized to you. There's nothing holding anyone back from stepping into IHP, whether it's just starting with level 1 or you really want to get level 1 and 2 and have that really in-depth knowledge. I always say this, if it's just for you and your family, you're already changing generations. You're already going to have an impact moving forward. I know it personally. So I feel like if you feel like, well, that's all I'm doing it for, that is a huge impact in and of itself. And the only requirement is, I would say, the passion to pursue your best health. If I had to put any sort of prerequisite, even a curiosity might be a beautiful place to be, that I'm curious, like what I've been doing isn't working. I'm not getting answers. And I really want to be an advocate for myself, for my family. Watching Jenna's transformation for her life, becoming her own advocate, watching that gifting I've given to my children, to be their own advocates. I think that alone is like prerequisite enough to step into this space.
Yes, absolutely. That's such a huge one, is the passion to heal yourself, to heal others. And, you don't need any type of certification to join, which I think is huge, because when I was looking at different options before, a lot of them required a 4-year degree, or they required, something that I didn't have. And I am so, so grateful that I didn't have those prerequisites, because maybe I wouldn't have found this program. But at the same time, when I was joining and I was considering starting to coach people, I hadn't healed myself. And so I had this question inside me of, can I help others? And can I coach others if I haven't overcome everything myself? And it's something that I learned very quickly, that, you don't have to have completely cured all of your root causes. Just your ability to educate people and to show them things that have worked for thousands of other people. You don't have to have cured yourself. I think that's really important. And I think that's something you guys might get asked a lot. Is that something you hear a lot?
Yeah, it is. And it's also simultaneous to that. It's sometimes I'll hear, well, I'm not going to dive into IHP yet because I'm still working on my health. And the analogy that comes to my mind for that is, I mentioned earlier that I basically grew up in the yoga space. And the number one thing that I would hear from people is, well, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible enough. And if you sit back and think about it, it's like, well, you do yoga to become more flexible. It's like the people who are quote unquote not flexible enough are the ones that need it the most. That's one of the objectives of yoga, right? So this idea of like, well, I can't do IHP because I'm still struggling with my health. Well, that's all the reason that you should do it. Mm-hmm. One of the purposes of IHP is to help yourself. And so when you go down this journey of studying, it's going to take you, on average, we see around 3 months for level 1, 5 months for level 2. So let's call it an 8-month journey for both levels. That time period, you can start implementing the protocols and the habit changes and the lifestyle changes that are taught within IHP within yourself as you're going through the studies. And by the end of that 8 months, think about the transformation that person can make in that time. And then they graduate and now they're ready to take on clients, and they're a different person than they were 8 months ago. And they have that much more knowledge and experience than they were before they did IHP. So I highly encourage people not to wait for anything. Don't wait to get educated. Don't wait to help other people. Don't wait to spread this information to other people until you are quote unquote healed, because we're all on a journey, and the journey really is lifelong.
Yes, that's amazing. And that's exactly what I did. Is I did the detox almost as soon as I started implementing the diet changes. I started drinking a smoothie first thing in the morning, and I felt so different so quickly that I started to already spread that information to other people. Even before I was certified, I didn't start coaching until I got my certification, but I started to educate, tell my family, tell my friends, hey, I experienced real results with this very quickly. And I think that's, like you said, something that people think they need to wait, but it's really about just getting started and using yourself as the guinea pig. Like I think most of us always do. When we learn something, we're always the first people to try it. But then you can have experienced these transformations for yourself so that you're more confident in sharing that experience with others. And when you're passionate about something that's changed your life, that's going to shine through, and people are going to be really motivated to try it themselves. So when you start talking about detoxing or foundations, if they can see in you that you experience this transformation yourself, you're going to have that much more impact moving forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, ladies, this was so wonderful. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I'm just super grateful for the opportunity, not just to be here, which is so amazing, Kate. I mean, I wish it were in person again. I know we'd all love that. But honestly, each day to be able to share the mission of IHP, share what Dr. Cabral's, the impact he's having, not just on our country, but on the world. When I see IHPs in other countries as well, it's honestly such an honor and a blessing to be part of that, and to see this mission of an IHP in every home coming to fruition each day. It honestly brings me nothing but joy.
Yeah, and this truly is a global movement. That's a really great point. It is certainly not just US based. We talk to people from all over the globe. So the awareness about this information is spreading, which is exactly what this mission is all about. So, again, if we talk again in a few years, this institute's only going to be magnified by that much. So we're just continuing to spread this information as much as we can.
And you guys are both such a big part of that. And when I think about IHP, I truly believe to my core that together we have the power to change the health of generations. And we are all a family in this. And again, you guys are such a big part of that. And I'm so grateful to be able to talk to you. And I'm really hoping that people will reach out to you. And so, we've talked about so many great things is just understanding, the reasons people are coming to IHP and how IHPs have the capability to change the world. We talked about, all the differences and the power of this community, and just understanding what you can potentially do with this certification as well. No matter what you are, whether you're a nurse right now, whether you're a physical therapist, whether you're someone coming from finance, there's so many options when you get a certification this powerful, not just to coach, but also to create different types of businesses and different types of impact through sharing on social, through sharing with friends and family, and the compounding effect that can have on millions of people. And again, we're just so grateful to have you as part of the team. And if you guys have any, questions or would like to talk to either Jen or Jenna about either becoming an IHP or what the next step could be for you on your coaching journey, make sure to check the link in the show notes and you can schedule a call with them. And I know they would love to talk to you. So thank you guys both so much again for being on the podcast. And I know I'll be talking to you again in the next few days.
Thanks so much, Kate.
Yeah,
Thanks, Kate.
Have a wonderful day.